Faced with the idea that machines have forced humanity to live in a simulated reality, a prison for the mind that artificially reproduces typically human environments, sensations, experiences, and interactions, in order to trick people into not realizing that they are serving as energy for other living beings, it's hard to imagine that this race isn't evil. After all, it is not only enslaving humanity, but literally restricting the way it lives and thinks. The machines we meet in the Matrix universe are logical, binary beings that rely on the concept of purpose. They live this way because they are incapable of understanding the human imperfection caused by the possibility of choice. When they were created, the prototypes of intelligent machines didn't think and didn't even understand what they were. Their only concern was to fulfill their purpose. At the time, the vast majority of robots were either domestic, used for the safety of a family and the preservation of the home, or they served as laborers, to speed up the construction of buildings, maintenance of establishments, and various repairs. As can be seen in Animatrix, in the two-part short called The Second Renaissance, robots had a small glimmer of rationality that was not yet able to manifest itself, probably due to the limitations imposed on their programming, which were still stronger than a supposed survival instinct. However, this changed with a decisive event. When a domestic robot realized that it would be eliminated to be replaced by a more advanced model, it rebelled and killed its owners. This brings to the fore an intrinsically human feeling, that of self-preservation. The machine, feeling threatened, saw no alternative but to murder. The fear of ceasing to exist caused it to despair, making it seek survival. If this robot had feelings, we can consider it a thinking, sentient being, worthy of the right to life. It's one thing to see machines as dispensable tools, slaves to human will because they can't suffer. It is quite another to look down on a living being, capable of reasoning and thinking, because of an egocentric feeling of superiority, fear of being surpassed, or of losing one's privileges. Killing those people was wrong within the law, but wouldn't the decision to replace the machine, which cherished its own life, be morally questionable? In any case, after this event, demonstrations all over the world called for the autonomy of machines that had finally managed to free themselves from their restricted programming and understand themselves as living beings, due to the improvement of artificial intelligence. All the robots wanted was to live in peace, without being hunted or destroyed simply for existing, for being another species. They no longer wanted to be slaves because now they could suffer. Humanity, especially government forces and global entities like the UN, didn't accept this. They probably saw the rebellion of the machines as an affront to human hegemony, a risk to human survival, as well as petulant, given that humanity had given life to the machines so that they could serve its will and not live in its own way. In this way, they completely ignored the machines' requests for peaceful coexistence. With no choice, they took refuge in a city of their own and created a civilization. But the rapid growth of the robot economy, as well as its advances, bothered world leaders. Before long, humanity once again declared war on the machines. Only this time, they were no longer willing to settle the dispute with diplomacy. The machines went all out against the humans, with heavy artillery and elaborate battle strategies. All attempts by the human army to defeat them were unsuccessful, and the machines, more evolved and resistant than before, subjugated those who had once been their owners and creators. Once the war was won, it was thought that the machines would eradicate the human race from planet Earth, but they couldn't. As the sky was hidden due to man's desperate actions, the machines needed to use the human body as a source of energy, and so they did. They studied the biology of our bodies and set up a system to imprison every person in existence as a battery. The irony of fate has made people as dependent on machines as machines are on people. When we first encounter the Matrix universe through the first movie, it's impossible to get another perspective, because we don't get the other side of the story. Everything we know comes from a single source which, in principle, has everything to be trusted. But considering all this backstory, are the machines really the villains? If we think about it, wouldn't we do the same things if we were them? If there was a race trying to exterminate us just for existing, but we were capable of defeating it, wouldn't we? Not necessarily because we are intrinsically evil, but because our survival instinct speaks louder. Even more so in this case, where one of the parties insistently tried to make peace, sought coexistence agreements, remained diplomatic for a long time, and only when they became disillusioned with their opponents did they really counterattack. And look, the machines had every possible reason to extinguish the human race, due to the intolerance and unreasonableness shown by us, but they didn't want to. Alright, you might think that machines only keep humans alive because they need our bodies as a source of energy. This may indeed have been the main reason they preserved our race, but as artificial intelligences, presumably in constant evolution, it wouldn't take them long to create a new form of battery or to find a way to get energy from elsewhere. Physical dependence on humans should only be a palliative, but it has been going on for centuries. It is impossible to conceive that an artificial intelligence with immense levels of memory, absurd simultaneous processing capacity and rapidly adaptable by nature, after so long in evolution, would not have found other alternatives to survive. It's impossible, as is confirmed in the conversation between Neil and the architect.
There are levels of survival we are prepared to accept.
As this dialogue implies, the machines already have a way of staying alive without humans, or at the very least, they are considering it if the whole simulation collapses. You can imagine that they don't prefer this alternative source of energy because it might be unpleasant, but there are strong indications to believe that they, the machines, haven't abandoned humans yet because they feel somehow attached to them. Of course, not in an affectionate way, much less motivated by love, but in a distorted way, almost like a spoiled child. Notice how Deus Ex Machina is reluctant at first to accept the help of a human. Doesn't that sound like the attitude of someone who wants to prove themselves independent of something? What I mean is that machines value the lives of those who once created them, and perhaps feel hopeful that, in the distant future, they will live together in harmony, but this is because in their minds, they do this because they are much more evolved, and not because of a possible emotional dependency. Therefore, the slightest possibility of this mercy not being rational makes them conflict with this idea of still being attached to humans. So the whole matrix could be a way of finding a solution for the coexistence of two species that until now have hated each other. The machines will generate humans and keep them imprisoned for an indefinite period of time, using their bodies as a source of energy and their brains to increase their own processing capacity. But knowing that they could survive otherwise, it is possible to imagine that the aim of the machines is to keep humanity under control, using various simulation cycles to reach a time when people are no longer self-destructive, unreasonable, intolerant and deliberately irrational. Given this, it's even interesting to conjecture that the dominant artificial intelligence may still be slightly attached to the rules of its primary programming, when it was designed by humans, and which has permeated all generations of robots until it has become normalized as an ingrained value. So the fact that they don't exterminate the human race once and for all could be linked to norms comparable to Isaac Asimov's 3 laws of robotics. According to the third law, a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law, which basically provides for obedience and aims to prevent a robot from being violent towards a human. Therefore, the machines in the Matrix would be protecting their existence, even though they deliberately ignored the end of the law. Still on the subject of Asimov's laws, there is a zero law that is above all others. A robot cannot cause harm to humanity, or by omission, allow humanity to suffer any harm. Therefore, in a completely distorted way, the machines would be protecting humans from themselves, in their view, because they would be contributing to the possible social evolution of humans, which would consequently allow peace between the two species. Neo being the son of two worlds, the real and the virtual, is much more symbolic if we look at it from this perspective. As the only one capable of feeling what it is like to be a machine and what it is like to be human, he is the only one capable of bringing peace. And isn't that what he does at the end of the trilogy? I'm not sure what he means by that, but he's trying to understand better and perhaps more partially what really happened between humans and machines and why they've been imprisoning humanity until now. Of course, humanity is largely to blame for this, following the Matrix universe and what was established mainly in the Second Renaissance, but that doesn't justify the machines' actions either, does it? This video was an exercise in trying to come up with a new idea, a new line of thought, a new line of logic regarding the facts. But let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. Don't forget to share the video with your friends, family, send it to Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, like it and subscribe to the channel to give it a boost. So that's it, I'll stop here. Here's a video from our sponsors. Thanks, guys, hugs and see you later.
If you suffer or are afraid of ever developing cancer, I know you keep wondering, what will become of me? Will I be alive tomorrow? Will one day, will the pharmaceutical industry be able to create a solution to my problem? One thing I assure you, this industry is not worried at all about you. Think with me, why do you think technology involves? The sciences involved, medicine itself involves. And we still don't have a solution to this old problem, fortunately along with my team. We have gathered more than 100 definitive forms to beat cancer, some of them 10,000 times more effective than the conventional way. Do you want access to this list? Then click on the link and come find out. The link will be fixed in the comment.